Yes. People also like challenge. You like that? I like it. You do like that?
Next week, Mincha is a bit earlier. I'm wondering how do people feel about having the shift 5 to 8, like just for next week? Or what?
Like it for you. People are here
So maybe you can put on the group that next week will be 5 to the week after we 10 to. What? I'm reckoning it's 7:30, I'm guessing. Right. Oh. Says the Mishnah on Daf Kuflamet Zayin Amud Aleph. The halacha is that if somebody by mistake does an avera like Chilul Shabbos or eating a chelev, then he has to bring a korban chatos. Right? That's a normal halacha. By mistake, you mechal Shabbos, bring a chatos. This next Gemara comes up in a few places in Shas, and it's a complicated one. And the basis of it is called Torah b'dvar mitzvah. Torah b'dvar mitzvah means that a person did an avera on Shabbos or other kinds of the times of the year, but he did it in his quest to do a mitzvah. That means he was thinking of doing a mitzvah, and he ended up doing a terrible avera. There is two different shittas. One shitta is, what do we care what he was thinking? Lemaisi was mechal Shabbos, he brings a chatas. The other shitta is no. Since in the end of the day, his intention was to do a mitzvah, the fact that he majorly spoilt it and ended up with an avera does not make him chal chatas. And this is a classic example where a person had two babies to do bris milah. One he was supposed to do on Sunday, and one he was supposed to do on Shabbos. And on Shabbos came along and he did bris milah on the one that he was supposed to do on Sunday. Did he do a mitzvah at all? Nope, he didn't do a mitzvah at all. But he was attempting to do a mitzvah. Why did he not do a mitzvah at all? Let's just talk about it, because we're going to go into quite detail. Let's say there were two babies, one who was supposed to do on Friday and one who was supposed to do on Shabbos. And he did the Friday baby on Shabbos. Then there, it's actually slightly better. Why? Because if you do a Friday baby on Shabbos, it means instead of the 8th day, you did it on the 9th day, you've still done a mitzvah. Because the 9th day is a mitzvah of bris milah. Only you did it on the wrong day, you should have done it on Shabbos. But if you do the Sunday baby on Shabbos, then instead of doing it on the 8th day, you did it on the 7th day, you've actually not done you've done an avera of Chilul Shabbos, plus you actually haven't done a mitzvah. Because bris milah on the 7th day is not a mitzvah. No. Yeah, no, you have to do a Stam bris afterwards, you're right. But the fact is, you haven't done a mitzvah. He's again, let's get into it slowly. A person who does an avera by mistake on Shabbos has to be a chatas. There are those who hold that we don't care what his thoughts were. That means even if it was Torah b'dvar mitzvah, he was trying to do a mitzvah, but he ended up doing an avera, we don't care. Chayav chatas. There are others that hold that Torah b'dvar mitzvah, and when a person was trying to do a mitzvah, end up doing an avera, then he's potter from a chatas. In this attempt to do a mitzvah, we have actually three different scenarios. They're quite common. One is, he had two babies. One he was supposed to do on Friday, one he was supposed to do on Shabbos, and he did the Friday one on Shabbos. That in a way is quite good, because at the end of the day, he did a mitzvah, because doing it on the 9th day is a mitzvah. Another case, he had two babies, one on Shabbos, one on Sunday. And what happened was he did the Sunday one on Shabbos. That's worse, because doing the Sunday one on Shabbos is actually not done a mitzvah, because he was done it on the 7th day. There's even a third case, where what happened was he had two babies. One he was supposed to do on Friday, and one he was supposed to do on Friday, one he was supposed to do on Shabbos. Let's say exactly this. Let's say it was one to do on Shabbos, one to do on Sunday. And the one that he was supposed to do, he did it the wrong way around, where no longer is there a baby ready to do bris milah. We'll come to it later in a minute. That means there can be a case where he's got in front of him two babies. One of them, he actually is supposed to do bris milah on Shabbos, he just went to do it on the wrong one. There can be another case where you had two babies, but the one that was supposed to do bris milah, he already did it. So now there's only one baby left, and that baby doesn't need to do bris milah on Shabbos. So that's even worse, because no longer can you say that he was thinking about a mitzvah, because his mitzvah has actually already been done. So this is what we're going. This is the whole Gemara from this Mishnah to the next Mishnah. So let's see the Mishnah inside. Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the top. It's 3 Mishnahs on this page, so it's the first one. A person had 2 baby boys. Echad Lomal Achar Shabbos, one to do on Sunday. Ve'echad Lomal b'Shabbos, one to do on Shabbos. V'shochach Mola Shel Achar Shabbos b'Shabbos Chayev. The Tana of our Mishnah holds that when you did the Sunday one on Shabbos, everybody agrees you're Chayev. Why does everybody agree you're Chayev? Because then it's particularly bad. Because you did the Sunday one on Shabbos, meaning that not only did you do an Avera that you did it on the wrong day, but you didn't even actually do Bismillah because it's on the 7th day. So then everybody agrees with Chayev. But Echad Lomo be'erev Shabbos, ve'echad Lomo b'Shabbos. If one you were planning to do on Friday and one you should have done on Shabbos, v'shochach moleh shel erev Shabbos b'Shabbos, you did the Friday one on Shabbos, then the Tana of our Mishnah says, why? Here it's already a lot better. Because you did the Friday one on Shabbos. The Friday one on Shabbos is a mitzvah. It's on the 9th day. So you've done Bismillah. Any day you do Bismillah from the 8th day onwards is a mitzvah. So therefore you are doing a mitzvah. So therefore according to Rabbi Shua, you're potter, according to Rabbi Chaim Chatos. Now the Gemara brings 2 versions of our Mishnah. That means the version we have in our Mishnah was only one. It was Amiroim that had a different version. They read our Mishnah differently to the way we read it. So Gemara says, Machlikas Amorim. Avuna Masni Chayv, Avuna Masni Potter. The Gemara explains. Avuna Masni Chayv, the Tanya. They never argued in a situation where you had one for Shabbos and one for Sunday. Everybody agrees we did the Sunday ones on Shabbos. Why are you chayav according to everybody? Because you really made a mess of it. You did the Sunday one on Shabbos. That's the worst you could possibly do. You did the Friday one on Shabbos. Rabbi says you chayav chatos because you did the Friday one on Shabbos. The Friday one on Shabbos you chayav chatos for why you chayav chatos? Because even though you actually did a mitzvah, you did a mitzvah b'smilah, you actually were making a mitzvah. But the fact is you weren't allowed to do it on Shabbos. So therefore you chayav chatos. Yeshua says no, you are told b'dvar mitzvah. Now, the Torah actually doesn't tell us chatos in every single avera. What happened was the Torah only told us the mitzvah of chatos b'avodah zarah. So whenever we know the halachas of chatos, it's always from avodah zarah. Every avera which is comparable to avodah zarah, one brings chatos. For example, any avera which should chayav kos. There's no chatos, for example, in eating chaza. The person by mistake ate a piece of chaza meat. He does not bring a chatos. Why not? Because there's no chiyuv kos. There's only a lav on eating chaza, not chiyuv kos. And where do we know that chatos is only when there's a chiyuv kos? Because the chiyuv of chatos was written by avodah zarah. So now the Gemara goes a step further and explains to us the machlokes. V'shnei, both of them lemdu alim avodas klichavim. They both went out from avodah zarah. Ablezes savak avodas klichavim, ma'od klichavim ma'achmon le'savi. Don't do it. Just like avodah zarah, Hashem said, don't do avodah zarah if you do it. Hashem said, don't do bismillah on the 9th day on Shabbos, and you went and did it. You weren't trying to do a mitzvah. Here we're trying to do a mitzvah. So this version is exactly like we had in our Mishnah. That when you did on the 7th day, when you did Bismillah on the 7th day, meaning if you did the Bismillah of the Sunday, you did it on Shabbos, everybody agrees to chayav chatos. When you did the Bismillah of Friday on Shabbos, but that's the 9th day, that's the machlokes of Lezer and Rabbi Shua. Says one another version of Yehuda Masni Potter, the Tanya. Omar Amneya, Le'nech Le'kurab Lezer Rabbi Shua, Mishohilo Beis Noikes, Echad Omar Be'ev Shabbos, Echad Omar Shabbos, Shochach, Mole Shelev Shabbos, Shabbos Shu Potter. Amneya has a different version. That everybody agrees that if you do the Friday one on Shabbos, everybody agrees you're potter. Why? Why does everybody agree you're potter? Because it was a mitzvah. So at the end of the day, when the Torah says you have chatos, is when you do an avera by mistake eat chayla, by mistake silver with the zor. But here, where everybody agrees when you do the Friday one on Shabbos, that at the end of the day you did Bismillah a day late. But that is a mitzvah. Since it's a mitzvah, so you don't have chatos. So when is the machlok? What? It's a mitzvah of avera, fair enough. But it's not. Is a complete avera. Because when did they argue? You've got 2 children, where you had one to do on Sunday and one to do on Shabbos. The Sunday one on Shabbos. Then Rabbi says why? Because Rabbi says because you didn't have Be'er without doing a mitzvah. Why? You never did a mitzvah at all because doing Bismillah on the 7th day is not a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah at all. You can't make a bracha. If you make a bracha, it's bracha levatala. But Rabbi Shua says, nevertheless, you're potter. Why you're potter? Because at the end of the day, your intention was to do a mitzvah. You were in the effort of doing a mitzvah. And again, the Gemara says, Oh, b'shnei milam duo elo ma'avodis tichavim. Avlei zeh sava k'avodis tichavim ma'avodis tichavim ma'achmon olei sav d'chiyah v'dmei chaya hachanam olei shno. If you do avodas zeh chayav chatos, here no different. Avishas metoid mitzvah chatoid mitzvah. Here the Gemara doesn't use the word hacham mitzvah. That it's a mitzvah because it isn't a mitzvah. In the previous version, if you look in the second wagan, it says hosam delav mitzvah hacham mitzvah. Because then we were talking about doing bismillah on the 9th day on Shabbos, where at the end of the day it is a mitzvah. Here we're talking about where you do this bismillah of the Sunday on Shabbos, so it's not a mitzvah, but it's Torah mitzvah. You were told, you were bothered, you were busy with trying to do a mitzvah. Tony of Chia, this is a third version. Chia They never argue when you have two children. One to do on Friday, one to do on Shabbos. Everybody agrees in your chayav. Where you had one for Sunday and one for Shabbos, and you did the one of Sunday on Shabbos. Now, on the face of it, this doesn't make sense because what does he say? He says that if you do the Friday one on Shabbos, everybody says you have chatos, which is very strange. Why should we have chatos? I did the Friday one on Shabbos. I'm doing a real mitzvah. Nevertheless, that's what she says. Everybody says you have chatos. But if you do the Sunday one on Shabbos, then it's a machlekos. That doesn't make any sense. If doing the Friday one on Shabbos, everybody says Yechayev Chatos, where you've actually done a mitzvah, doing the Sunday one on Shabbos, which is certainly not a mitzvah, why should then be a machlekos? So the Gemara asks straight away, Has to Rabbi Shua Sefer delay covered mitzvah, where you never did the mitzvah because you did the Sunday one on Shabbos. Poite says you don't have to be a Chatos. Reisha the covered mitzvah mechayev. In the Reisha, when you're doing the Friday on Shabbos, can you be mechayev? Only to be a following case. Reishik and Shekotam Moshe Shabbos for Shabbos to the Nitzel Shabbos Teitoches. Safe for Nitzel Shabbos Teitoches. Let's explain this very clearly. It's not straightforward. It's like this. There were two babies. One you were supposed to Mila on Friday, one you were supposed to Mila on Shabbos. Came Friday, and what happened was you did the Shabbos one on Friday. You mixed the two babies round. You had one to do on Friday, one to do on Shabbos. You mix the babies round. You did the Shabbos one on Friday. So then everybody says Yechayev Chatos. Why? Because once you made that mistake, the baby that was supposed to be done on Shabbos, you did it on Friday. The baby that was supposed to be done on Friday, you went and did it on Shabbos. By the time Shabbos came in, the mitzvah of Mila was gone. Why? Because the Shabbos one you've already done. So there's nothing left to do on Shabbos. There is no mitzvah anymore. You have to do Tofas Stam this, but that's not on Shabbos. You do it a different day of the week. So you had no heta this Shabbos to get involved in Bismillah. Because the Shabbos one you did on Friday, and the Friday one you shouldn't be doing on Shabbos. So if you then do the Friday one on Shabbos, even though you've actually done the mitzvah of Bismillah, but the fact is, you shouldn't have been involved in Mila this Shabbos. You should have put your Mila knife down and not got involved. And therefore, if you do, you have Chatas going to everybody. It goes after, has this Shabbos been cancelled legabe Bismillah? And for this person, it hasn't. Because for this person, he had two babies. And had he not done any Bismillah, then it would have been cancelled because there was one baby which he had to do Bismillah on Shabbos. But the fact is, that one he went and did on Friday. So now for him, Shabbos is completely Kaddish. He's got no heta whatsoever to get involved in Bismillah. Mashenkim, when he did the Shabbos and Sunday one, he mixed them around. So let's think what happened. Came Shabbos, he had two babies. One he was supposed to do on Shabbos, one he was supposed to do on Sunday. The Sunday one he did on Shabbos. Maisa, at this stage, is he still allowed to be Mechal Shabbos later? Yes. For the second baby, he still should be doing it. He did the Sunday one on Shabbos, but the Shabbos one he did on Sunday. But when he did the Sunday one on Shabbos, he still had to do the Shabbos one on Shabbos. Had he gone to Rav and said to him, I'm going to mix up the babies, what should I do now? What would Rav have said to him? You've done the Torah Aveh, but you've still got to do the Shabbos one on Shabbos. So therefore, he's actually allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for the other Bismillah. So therefore, when he did the Sunday one on Shabbos, even though he actually did no mitzvah whatsoever, for this specific person, Shabbos has been cancelled regarding Bismillah. And therefore, for him, he's not Chayav Chatos. That means... No, he's not Chayav Chatos for the first one. Why not? Because there's a mitzvah in front of him. There's a baby there which he's supposed to be doing Bismillah for. And that baby was allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for to do it. In the Sefer. That's in the Sefer case, yes.
So why is that not like comparable? If you have some books on Shabbos, you have to move the books away to get some.
No. First of all, in all those cases, you only have chatos anyway. There was just a shalom muktzah. Here we're discussing the chiv chatos. And we're not discussing whether we should have done it or shouldn't have done it. We're discussing the chiv chatos. Let's go through this whole cheshbon again because it's a very interesting cheshbon. We have 3 separate cases of a person being mechal Shabbos and the person doing bris milah. 3 different cases. And we have 3 different versions of pshat in our Mishnah. One mahalach in the Mishnah, that's what Huna's mahalach is like this. That if a person does the Friday one on Shabbos, since in the end of the day, what he did was actually a mitzvah, there's a machlokes is chayav chatas. If he did the Sunday one on Shabbos, everybody agrees it's chayav chatas, because then they didn't do a mitzvah. You did the Sunday one on Shabbos, you shouldn't have done it. You did this on the 7th day, that's nothing. That was Rav Huna's mahalach. Rav Yehuda's mahalach is a different one altogether. He says, within the same stories, but the other different halachas. When you do the Friday one on Shabbos, he says that's not a machlokes. Everybody agrees you're potter, because at the end of the day, you actually did a mitzvah. Since you actually did a mitzvah because it was on the 9th day, everybody agrees you're potter from chatas. The machlokes is only if you did the Sunday one on Shabbos, then there's a machlokes, should you be chayav chatas or not, because at the end of the day, you were thinking of doing a mitzvah, but you ended up not doing a mitzvah. That's what Rav Yehuda. Comes along Rav Chia, and he has a 3rd way of looking at it altogether. Rav Yehuda's malach is that we're talking of Chia's malach is that it depends, has Shabbos still got a leg to stand on by the time you're finished with the bris milah? If you've got them, he actually comes out of Chia a chumrah regarding the Friday Shabbos. Till now, I've always said when you mix up Friday to Shabbos, you've done it better because we're doing Friday on Shabbos, you've gone to the 9th day, and the 9th day is always better than the 7th day because the 9th day is a mitzvah, the 7th day is not a mitzvah. But according to Chia's story, it's actually going on to the Friday Shabbos, you've done it worse. Because when you've done Friday Shabbos, and you mix the 2 babies around, you had the Friday baby and the Shabbos baby, you went and did the Friday baby, you did the Shabbos baby on Friday, so now you've left with no babies to do on Shabbos. The Shabbos one you've already gone and done, which you shouldn't have. And the Friday baby should do it on Friday. So therefore, when comes Shabbos in, you should be getting rid of your milah stuff and concentrating on mitzvah on Shabbos. So if Chas V'Shalom, now you go and do milah, you chayav chatos. Now, I think when you do Shabbos Sunday, when you do the Sunday one on Shabbos, even though in reality you've done much worse because you went on the 7th day, but since the Shabbos one is still around and the Shabbos one requires you to do bris milah on Shabbos, so therefore you're considered to be somebody that is osek in the mitzvah of milah, and you should be putting down your milah at the knife. You should still be holding it to get ready to do bris milah, and therefore you're chayav. Therefore you're potter from a chatas. You're potter from a chatas. It's actually interesting more in logic. It's quite. You think about it. Try and teach this to. You have to have this leadership brain to work out all the different back and forth. It's got a cheshbon of it. So Mo asks a small question. At the end of the day, this person who did the Shabbos on Friday, and now he's got no mitzvah to do bris milah, yes, he has. If there would be other babies around, and he would find a baby that needs to do bris milah on Shabbos, he should be doing it. This particular person, he had 2 babies. He was invited to do bris milah for 2 babies. And he was invited one for Friday, one for Shabbos. And the Shabbos one he did on Friday, and the Friday one it's too late now. This moil has no longer got the right to get involved in bris milah on Shabbos. And therefore, for him, Shabbos is no longer ready to be nidcha, and therefore, if he does bris milah on Shabbos, it's chayav chatas. Says the Mishnah, a baby does bris milah on the 8th day. What happens if he's born in Shkia time? What do you do? If it's a suffix, you do it on the 9th day, because you can't do it on the 7th day. You do it 1 day later, because either it's the 9th or the 8th, but you can't do it. Now, because you can't do it on the 7th. 9th is okay, so 8th or 9th. So if it's been in suffix, you do it on the 8th or 9th. Oh, now you're going in another case. What happens if it's a suffix, it comes out to be a Shabbos? I mean, let's say it's born Friday night in Hashmoshes. Now you've got a real problem. You can't do it Friday, because it might be the 7th or the 8th, you don't know. If it was born on Friday, then you could do it on Friday. But since it was born in Hashmoshes, you can't do it Friday, because maybe it's only 7th day. Shabbos, you can't, normally you would do it on the 9th, suffix 8th, but you can't do that. Because it's Shabbos, and maybe the baby was born on Friday, and then now it's the 9th day, so you can't do bris milah on Shabbos either. You're going to have to do it on Sunday, which is the 10th day. Now, what happens if Yom Tov is after Shabbos? That means if Sunday is a Yom Tov, you can't do it till Monday. And if you've got 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, what are you going to do? If you've got Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, you can't do it. You have to do it on Tuesday. That means that had the baby born definitely on Friday, done it on Friday. Because he's born suffix Friday, suffix Shabbos, you can't do it Friday, maybe the 7th day. You can't do it Shabbos, it might maybe be the 9th day, so therefore it's no good. You can't do it Sunday's first day of Rosh Hashanah, not Monday, the second day of Rosh Hashanah. You're going to have to do it on Tuesday, which comes out that it will be the 12th day, and it's not even a baby is not well. It's a fine and healthy baby, and you have to wait till the 12th day. Nowadays, not very good, but in those days it could. In those days it could. The Ritva asks a kasha, asks the Ritva, why does the Mishnah? I said, Baba, we keep 2 days. So the Ritva gives 2 different answers. One is that we want to write a case which is negah to everybody, and Rosh Hashanah is negah around the world, not just in Baba. Alternatively, a very big chiddush that maybe second day Yom Tov you can't do Bismillah. He's not sure. Why? Because since it's only a kula dekadra, but the max we don't paskin like that. We paskin. If you're not sure, you can't even do it the second day. No, but that matter. I've not heard any place. What? Yeah. Why? No, those days, the time of the writing of the Mishnah, it could. Time of the writing of the Mishnah, it could. So Mishnah says like this: Kota nimmer the shmona the 8th day the tisho la asol la chados la shlem also le pochas le isna more or less. Okay, kedarke normally the shmona. No, that ben hashmosha is if it's in between nimmer the tisho after the 9th, because you're not sure it's 8th or 9th. Ben hashmosha still have Shabbos if it's a Friday. Ben hashmosha is nimmer la asol. Yom tov la chal Shabbos nimmer la chados. Shnei yomim shel Rosh Hashanah nimmer le shnei also 2 days Rosh Hashanah you have to wait till the 12th day. Cotton achila, if he's not well, in Merlin no sad shiyabi, you have to wait until it gets better. There's a very sweet story, I read it actually, called like a sefer, that when the Vilna Gaon, people wanted to boast about the Vilna Gaon, the Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon. So one time they were sitting in the base of Medrash, and somebody said, what's so special about Vilna Gaon? What was so special? They said, we'll tell you a question the Vilna Gaon was asked when you were 7, and if you're already a big Talmidei Chachamim, and let's see if you could answer the same answer that he gave. So very excited, and they said, don't tell us his answer, we'll work at other answers. They asked that this Mishnah says a list of numbers and finish off with Pochos for Yosef. And yet you have a Mishnah in Kelim where it talks about the Mishnah Megillah, and it doesn't finish off with Pochos for Yosef. Why not? Why not Mishnah? Could have just said 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 without saying the Pochos for Yosef. And there it doesn't bother saying the Pochos for Yosef.
Maybe you can find a case.
So these Talmidei Chachamim went back and forth with all kinds of lamdas, and every time the Talmud of Vilna Gaon said you should know when the Vilna Gaon was 7, he gave a better answer. And every time he gave a better, when Talmud of the Gaon was 7, what was the Vilna Gaon's answer when he was 7? And the Mishnah there and the Mishnah in Kelim does say the Pochos for Yosef. So, and what was the chiddush of that story? So a lot of people learn a lot of lamdas, but if you actually, the difference is the Gaon at the age of 7 actually learned everything. Since he learned everything, he didn't need to come on to some complicated answer. He actually knew the emes. The Mishnah does say the Pochos for Yosef, and that is why I don't want you to get too involved in the answer because it's not. Okay. So nice if you work it out. What? Yeah, it's fine. Nice. The Mishnah says that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It works out that if it's a suffix, if it's normally 8 thing. Now the Mishnah says if a child's not well, you have to wait till it get better. Says the Gemara, Omar Shmuel Chotzosei Chama. If he gets away from a fever, no something called Shiva, I'll give him 7 days to avoid. He gets 7 days to get better. Let's say it gets better on the Tuesday at 12 o'clock. So do we say 7 days later, it's the next Tuesday, he can do Bismillah at 8 o'clock in the morning? Or do we say no? You have to wait till Tuesday 12 o'clock to give him a full 7 days. Toshima, the Tani Luda, Luda's name of Talmud Chacham. The day gets better is like the day he was born. My love, it's just like a baby's born on a Tuesday 12 o'clock. You could do Bismillah the next Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, even though the baby's actually not been alive a full. He's not up to his 8th day yet. He hasn't had the full 7 full days. The answer is that a mitzvah siyim kikolayim. So therefore, who had din the gabe getting better? So well, no. The day is getting better is even more important. You need to have the 8 days. You have to wait a full 7 days. Also, why does Luda say that the day of getting better is like the day of his birth? Well, it's not true. Because the day of his birth, you don't need a full 7 days. By the day of his gets better, you do. The answer is he just wanted to teach us a different point. He wanted to teach us that getting better, you don't do Bismillah straight away, but you have to wait as if it's a newborn. And therefore you have to wait 7 days. That means what he wanted to teach us that being not well, don't say the second it gets better, we should do Bismillah. No. A person who gets better is like newborn, that you have to wait a period of time. But he didn't mean literally like newborn, because newborn literally doesn't have to wait 7 full days. but not well, you do have to wait 7 days. Now, la halacha l'maisa, what we do is, if it's a full illness, if the whole baby is not well, we do wait 7 full days. If no, it's from this Gemara, it's just to do with sakon. But if it's only a minor thing, that means it's got something wrong with one part of the body, then we don't wait a full 7 days. So it depends. If a child takes the temperature, we have to wait 7 days from when the temperature is gone, and it has to be a full 7 days. Eirein sits in the makna samira. These are the fringes, the pieces, the makna mira. Bosa chifes over ator, the skin that covers most of the ator. Ein oichel betruma, and it doesn't eat truma. That means the halacha is a kohen who's an oral. Let's say, for example, his brothers died from mila, so they never did bris mila to him, so he can't eat truma. And the halacha is that if a mosa covers most of the ator, it's considered an oral and he can't eat truma. So as Levi explained, the ator is the end of the eva. That means Rashi explains it's the area which goes narrows to a point. And as we will see, there are 2 ways for it to be considered oral. Either it covers most of the circumference or most of the distance. That means most of the distance from where the ring is to the end of the ava. If it covers, that doesn't need to be most of the circumference. It can be one string going along or one going around. Either way, that is considered oral, and he can't eat truma. In moyo bal basa. No, so it means the circumference at the circle, at the actual thing. In moyo bal basa, if he was fat, that means if the baby is very fat, so because he's so fat, it looks like that he has done bismillah. It means it looks like there's still oil on because of this double skin of the fat. The second thing, there's a mitzvah to make a child look like it's done bismillah, and therefore you have to cut it because of ma'as ayin. First, there's bismillah. It doesn't tear back the skin. It's as if you haven't done bismillah. And the Israelis have a very cynical translation. More, if you do bismillah and you don't pay the moil, the repoah samila is as if you haven't done bismillah. It is a very special mitzvah to pay for bismillah. I can't think of a better investment. But Maisa, that's not possible. Possibly means you don't reveal. It means you don't pull back afterwards. As they've explained, that means you pull the skin along, then you cut it, but then afterwards there's the inner skin, and that needs to be peeled back. Says the Gemara, this is the other kind of ma'akva samira. Not when it's roiv's hekaf, but roiv goiva. That means it doesn't have, it doesn't mean you have to be only roiv hekaf, either roiv hekaf or roiv goiva. That means a person, either one is ma'akva samira, either most of the circumference or most of the length of the area of the mila. If either one is there, then that is enough to be ma'akav. If the child is got a double layer of skin because of the fact it's very fat, then there's a mitzvah to cut it. Rashi explains you have to cut it until it gets to a narrower point. That's the chiyuv. Omar Shmuel, kotel mesuba bosa. How do you check it? You see when the ava gets hard, but near a mole, as the ava gets hard, it gets longer. When it gets longer, the skin stretches back. So therefore, if the skin stretches back, and therefore it looks like his mole, you don't need it. It means it doesn't have to be checked when the ava is hard. Masnitatan, a very, very similar, but slightly different version of the same halacha. Mesubah literally means a coat. It's got a coating of flesh. It doesn't look like it's not bismillah. They both say the same halacha. You wait until this kishui, and then you see it doesn't look like a double layer. But as Shmuel spoke about it in the positive, meaning if it looks more, you don't need to do bismillah. The Brisa talks about it in the negative. If it doesn't look more, then you do have to do bismillah. Again, Shmuel says if it looks more, you don't have to do bismillah. And the Brisa says if it doesn't look more, you do have to do bismillah. It says more, my benai, what is the difference? And the Rishonim explain that it means when the ava is hard, like this baby, then it looks partly mild and partly not mild. According to Shmuel, you don't need to do bismillah again. because you can see an element of milah being done. Since you can see an element of milah being done, so therefore you can see that the baby had bris milah, and it's only because it's fat. According to the Brisa, at the same time, you can still see an element that hasn't been done, so you do have to. So it's machlekes.
When the Mishnah says when we say that it's roino, so
Yeah.
When you can't see it, do we mean it because of Marasayan?
No.
Deraisa.
No, it's not deraisa.
That is the Marasayan.
That's all the Marasayan exists.
But if you can't see it, then you don't have that.
It means you can have to second. What if like?
You can show you can see it.
Yeah.
It's more.
That's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it,
Then you actually mean it. So that's the end of that Gemara. Now we have the ancient Gemara, the brachas of Milah. The Moel says, "Asher k'nishol mitzvah v'tzivonu ala Milah." The one who commands on the Milah. Avia ben Oima, Asher k'nishol mitzvah v'tzivonu la'achnisi v'visu shel Avraham Avinu. So here we have a very, very long, quite a long thesis, where thesis discusses who makes the bracha first. We're very used to it. That Avia ben makes it first, David, right? No?
No.
The Moel makes it first?
Why
is Moel doing it? So look at this. That's the test inside. Okay. When the Shmuel goes Avia ben Bereish, Avoda Amo. When the Shmuel, the Rashbam said first the father, then the Moel. That's his king. That's the minig that the Rashbam used to do. Levoich Avia ben Kedem Milah. Mishud lachnise la'abo mashma. Lachnise means to do it. Is that what they do with the Slav?
Also, they usually the stand up. So they stand up, sit down, and then do it.
What? Yes, but you're about to do mitzvah. When you light the Hanukkah candles, do you first light the Hanukkah candles, then make the bracha, or you first make the bracha, then light the Hanukkah candles? You always make the bracha first, and later you do matzah. You do even asiyosam. That's aleph, and base. The bracha is lahachnisu, to actually go and do it. The problem is that this Gemara says another way around. Our Gemara says the moil, and then Navi.
Yeah, but future tense.
But
So doing that before you actually done it. And that's what makes us what finishes the deal.
Lachnisu is the act.
It's not mold yet.
Not mold yet.
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting that you. But again, so let's get the machlokes to show you which way around. I hear that the biggest I can't forget what the halach is, that the moil does it first and the father does it straight away while he's doing prayer. That's the other round. Machlokes is showing him. Okay. Those who are around say, so the first we ask the question, why do we say, because you can say this word every time you have this, why do you say Torah chuppah ma'asim tovim? Ma'asim tovim means acts of kindness. Why do you only do acts of kindness after the chuppah? There are two main answers. This guy's brought down about earlier kadmonim. One answer is that real acts of kindness only begin when you get married, because it's easy to do chesed to strangers, and the hardest person to do chesed to his closest family. So Torah chuppah and then ma'asim tovim. That is one answer. Another interesting answer also brought by kadmonim is that acts of chesed is done when a person's got parnossa, and he has to then share his wealth with others. When a person's not earning a parnossa, what happens is, it's very easy, child, what's the word for it? Children they want to give presents at the end of the year, and the children are collecting, and they want to give a nice present to the teachers. It doesn't cost them anything, so they want to give really nice. What happens is, when you're not earning the money, it's very easy to be generous with it. When you're earning money, it's much harder. Now, which age are you supposed to? You're first supposed to get married at the age of 18. That's where chuppah comes first, because Moses says you should get married and then find a panossa. So therefore, ma'asim tovim, the true ma'asim tovim comes when you've got a panossa and you share it with other people, either what you've got, what you've earned, etc. Okay, so Torah chuppah ma'asim tovim. Then you have to study in the makes the bracha, and the Rishonim all point out, every Rishonim says, the bracha does not need to be not the father, not the moyer, and it could be anybody. And the father appoints, and the father's not there, Beis didn't have to appoint somebody. And he says, Asher Kiddush did be better, and Chik B'Sheir Osam, so Mekadesh, the beloved, from when he was born, Chik B'Sheir Osam, he put his covenant inside his skin, that said, so of his children, Chossam, he signed, but Ois B'His Kodesh, for the sign of his Kodesh, Arkein, therefore, B'His Chazois, Kevchai, Chalkeinu, our portion, Saved, Hatzli, Didus, Shoenim, Shachas. Command to save our beloved from Gehenna. The man Visa should some Sorenu Baruch Atah Hashem Kursa this. The Gemara in Eruvin, which will come to that not so long, tells Gemara that Zayin that Avram Avinu sits by the entrance of Gehenna, and he doesn't let anybody who's done Bismillah go into Gehenna. If you look at it, the Parashas Lech Lecho, Akshvoch tells Avram to do Bismillah, and at the beginning of Parashas Vayera it says, "Vu Yoshev Pesach Ha'oyer Kechoy Ma'yoyim." Avram Avinu sits at the entrance of the tent by the heat of the day. Avram Avinu sits at the entrance of the heat, and he stops everybody coming in if you've done Bismillah. I've told this many times to my children. I think it's very, very important. I once saw a sefer very recently. It's a very good sefer, written by Habba from Eretz Yisrael. And he said a very interesting thing. He says, unfortunately, there are children who are brought up today thinking that Hashem created them because he's short of fuel or what to burn in Gehenna. And they think it's a tragedy that they think that Hashem created them to suffer this world and then afterwards be punished for that in the next world. And I say to my children, we woke up Bismillah, and girls, if they marry somebody who's done Bismillah, it's the same level. So you're all going to have a Avram Avinu standing there to Gehenna. You've got no chance of getting into Gehenna. You've got no chance. What? What does that mean, Shmeres? No, that's not what the Gemara says. I stick to what the Gemara. The Gemara says if you've done Bismillah, then you can't get into Gehenna. You have to believe that. But when you stands there by the entrance of the gate, he doesn't let them in. That's what the Gemara says. See, you believe not like that. And you're more. How can you say something? No. You can't get into Gehenna. Even if you ever did the Aviyah, I always say to our children, if you ever did the Aviyah, not that we ever do Aviyah, none of us ever do Aviyah, but the off chance that one of you might have once done an Aviyah, it doesn't matter. Because Avram Avinu sits there at the edge of Gehenna. It's not good. No, you can't get into Gehenna. You can't get into the fire of Gehenna. It's very important. Nowadays, oh, very good. That's a very important point. It doesn't mean that your Gan Eden will be to the highest level. If you've done a lot of Averos, you won't get this full pleasure. For every mitzvah you do, you get pleasure. You won't get the fullest, highest pleasure of Gan Eden. But it's a very important point. I wish I could remember the name of the sefer. I've got to tell you. Right, the Gemara says one of two things. He marries a non-Jewish girl, or he gets rid of the Bismillah. That means he actually has an operation to undo it. Okay, no, I thought you meant something else. I thought you meant not to get the bris of Zerah and things like that. Okay. No, you're right. If he marries a non-Jewish girl, the Gemara says, or he does an operation to undo the bris. And I said that we haven't yet done. Hopefully not. What?
Marries Jewish and doesn't do mitzvahs his entire life.
So you would not. That's what War says. If you want to get to Eruvin, you can take your pen and write at the side. I find that difficult to understand. It's not long at this rate. But the Maisa, so that's what we say. Look at says over here. Arcade was Zois in the reward of doing this mitzvah. You should command to save us from Gehenna. That's what we say. You should command that we should be saved from Gehenna. The man this something sorry, the Baruch Atah Hashem curse of this. Tesis actually I find that he says Kaddish did be better. He says remember you did. The Rashi says you should scream. He says B'chol Kavona. Okay, I'm not sure. The Ma'aser Tesis says it did be better. Is referring. It says Meramis Tavom Yitzchak and Yaakov. The hard you did is Avram Avinu because Shmuel who loved Avram Avinu. So that's it did be better. And then he says, Chok b'Sheir Som is Yitzchak, because Yitzchak Hashem told the Avram explicitly to do Bismillah. But it said, Sov Chosav B'Yis Kodesh, that's what the Yaakov and his sons, who had many children. So when Ram is in this bracha to the three obvious Akdoshim that all protect the baby once he has done Bismillah. It's a very important point. When a person feels his whole life that he's going to end up in Gehenna after all of this effort, it's very hard. It's very hard to do this. Tzaddikim can, because they can cope with it. Not us. No, okay, so the answer is like what you were saying, that at the end of the day, you still want to get more Gan Eden. That I agree, that like God doesn't say. You want to get more Gan Eden. Okay, they want more Gan Eden, that's the point. Hamoles HaGeim Oimer, Baruch Atah Hashem Lekinu Melech Olam Asher Gdishon Mitzvos Val Amilo. Amavorach Oimer Asher Gdishon Mitzvos V'Svonu Hamoles HaGeim Ol Hativ Mem Dam Bris Shel Molei Dam Bris Len Iskayim Ushomayim V'Oretz. Not about this which the world won't stand. Shneimam LeBrisi Yemom Leiloch V'Shmayim V'Oretz. Samti Baruch Atah Hashem Peres HaBris. The bris keeps the world going. Because this is the shleimus of a person dedicating himself to Avodas Hashem, which is the purpose of this world. We're not to So the Shaylim asked the Kasha, how can you say there's no mitzvah to go around doing Bismillah on Gerim? Evid Kanani answers there is. You did buy it from this Kesef. That's the last Tesos. But a Ger, how till he does Bismillah is not a Ger. And then so they say each thing's small because the Tesos says V'haftam a Ger. You have to love a Ger. And how can you love a Ger? The best thing you can do for him is do Bismillah. So doing Bismillah to a Ger, that's the mitzvah of
Not a Molly, not a gay.
Somebody wants to become a ger, so there's a mitzvah of avos. That's b'chayev use a bismillah. That's the shouldn't say. Had no lach blessed the mila. Had no lach blessed the mila. Had no lach blessed the mila. We should be zeichet to learn it again. And I've geschmack. Oh, we learned a lot about bismillah. A lot about we should learn it again in Taken Beitz and Shemala. Not in Gehenna, because you won't get in there. So we're learning it with Avon Avinu Mitzvah Hashem. Holiness and Shmeres for Yom Tov. This parak is actually very negay l'maisa, but unfortunately, it's one of the hardest halachas, and people don't have it so easy. It's like opening a deck chair on Shabbos. Look, a deck chair is fine, but let's say, for example, building a table on Shabbos, right? Putting the pieces together. All these different halachas, where it's you have to get it all clear. So we've got over here, telling us shameres b'yom tov. But notice it's clear b'Shabbos. In the older days, what you would do is you would take the wine, you want to sieve it, right? So what do? You take a sack, which is porous. It's not porous, in English porous is a sack which liquid can go through. So you've got this big sack, and you want the wine to go through, the sediments get stuck inside, the wine comes out. But how are you going to sieve it? So what you do is you take 4 sticks, and you hang the sack, like a very primitive bin, and you hang the bag over the 4 sticks, and then you put a bowl underneath the bag, you pour the wine into the bag, and then whatever drips through, that is clean wine. That is how you do it. Now, there's 2 problems over here. One is boiler, because when you're separating the wine from the sediments. And the other problem is that you're actually, the shit asks that, but Pasha says boiler. Okay, here he's not showing it very well, but okay, you can see it's not done with sticks. The other picture, you get picture. What? So we'll see. We won't discuss that. Very good. But so basically, the problem is you do 2 things. One is by stretching the bag over the 4 sticks, you're creating a kind of tent, right? You're creating a kind of tent, right? You've got 4 poles, and you're putting a bag over, so you're actually creating a sort of room. What? Okay, that's getting into detail. We'll talk about what you're doing. We'll see. They won't discuss this exactly how. The point is, you've got 2 problems. One is both. So it says Rabbalez, you're allowed to do everything on Yom Tov. That means you're allowed to hang the bag and pour the wine through. But on Shabbos, you're not allowed to hang the bag. You're just allowed to pour the wine. You're not allowed to hang it on Yom Tov. Shabbos, not allowed to pour on Shabbos. They go one stage more machmir in both things. Rabbalez says you're allowed to hang it on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, and pour in it. And on Shabbos, you're just allowed to pour. The Chachamim say on Shabbos, you're not allowed to pour, and you're not allowed to hang anything. On Yom Tov, you're not allowed to hang, we're allowed to pour. So we'll select this. The problem of pour, you pour into this sack, which is porous, and without having the sticks. That means let's say you set it up before Shabbos. That's the game. You set it up before Shabbos, and on Shabbos, you're just pouring it through. Now, the first word challenges the issue of the building. It says, well, if you remember, we had the Mishnah about Kakachalon. Kakachalon was like a window, a dorm window, the dormer window it's called. What they call the top? Skylight. It's better, skylight. So Moses Ashtar, and he holds not even allowed to add to a room. How does he allow us to actually build this whole contraption? What? Let's look about it. So how can you do such a thing? Bahi. This now we learned Kakachalon. A skylight of Blazer Muzan Shekosha Tolu, if it's hanging and tied, breaking in boy, you can use it. Breaking boy. Either way you're allowed to. Everybody agrees not allowed to make an Olah Yom Tov. Shabbos, and of course you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos. Here with a skylight, you're just adding to the roof. You're not allowed to add. You're allowed to. So therefore we see clearly the Rabbi Lezer holds you're not allowed to add to a skylight on Shabbos. And if you're not allowed to, Yom Tov, and if you're not allowed to add, Kavachim, you're not allowed to create. And over here, when you hang the bag over this contraption, over this thing, and then that way you can then pour, then that you're actually creating a room. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Lezer Savalok Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya in Ben Yom Tov the Shabbos and Oich Nefesh Belvad. The Brisa says that the only difference Shabbos and Yom Tov is food preparation. He allows you to do machshir Oich Nefesh. That means preparations for Oich Nefesh, which is even building a sieve in order to then be able to sieve your wine. That's also mutter. It says more. Only if you can't do it to Yom Tov. Does he hold something which is on Erev Yom Tov, which you could have done at Erev Yom Tov? Does he hold that? And it's more better from Rabbi Yehuda. He holds even more than Rabbi Yehuda. Again, Shittas Chachamim is you can only do Oicha Nefesh Mamish on Yom Tov, not preparations. Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to do preparations, but only if that you couldn't do before Yom Tov. But those that you could have done before Yom Tov, you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov. And the Rabbi Lezer says even things that you could have done before Yom Tov, you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov. So Rabbi Lezer holds, really, if you'd ask Rabbi Lezer, are you allowed to build a little contraption like this? Awesome. But on Yom Tov, you're allowed to because it's preparation for food. And he holds that everything which is preparation for food is permitted. It says, they say they're not allowed to. What happens if you did do it? Is it a deraisa or is it a rabban? Rabbi Yosef tolo chayav chatos. Once chayav chatos is a deraisa. If you hang a jug on a peg, this is very problematic. Even Rashi is a bit bothered. Now, really, there's no comparison to hanging a jug on a peg to hanging this bag over sticks. Only the way which one explains is that just like you would agree that hanging a jug on a wall, you've not really done anything. Also over here, at the end of the day, it's only a temporary thing which you're going to collapse. So why should you be chayav? It's only midrabanan that it's uvda dechol. That means when you do this big issue, when you build it up, the whole thing, it's uvda dechol. Oh, actually here I didn't see this picture, is even better. Can you see this picture? Can you see, I don't know, Shai, can you see it? No, not really. You got 4 sticks, and you've got like the bag held onto it. Okay. So Rai says uvda dechol, and therefore it's forbidden. Here, if you can see over here. So this is the case where you put a bag over 4 sticks with your chai. Okay. Says well, Abai gathered together all the advices which discuss these topics and put it together and learned it. Hagoid. Hagoid is a leather bag which we described. You take a big leather bag and you hang it over. And Rashi explains that what they used to do is that they would put milk and wine. Milk and wine often goes bad. So you want to make it air, but the more air it has, the less likely it's going to go bad. So you tie a rope to the bag, and then to the leather bag, and then you tie with the ropes coming off the leather bag, you tie them onto sticks. And then that way it hangs in the air, dangling in the air, and the air goes underneath it, around it, and then that way it's a proper ventilator. There you go. That's a sieve which we discussed in our Mishnah. Kilo is a canopy, a bed canopy. The kisei galin is a collapsible bed. That means a collapsible bed where they would actually take it to pieces and rebuild it. Lo yase, you're not allowed to do it from osa if you do it potter. Potter will also do a bone. Ole keva, a proper tent, and he's building a tent like example. Lo yase from osa chayav chatos. Ava mitter, but a normal bed. Rashi explains like this. You've got a normal bed. You see over here this picture, like a normal, manage a basic frame of a bed. And what you do is, you was lying on its side, and you move it onto its legs. So by doing that, you're actually creating a tent. The kisei, a chair, which you actually like the chair which you have on the beach, where what happens is you open up the chair. Yeah, they've got it over here a little bit. Let's just put pictures. Where what happens is you open up the legs and the chair spreads out. The churaskel is, sorry, kisei churaskel. Kisei churaskel is one word, a folding chair, I should say. The aslo is exactly the same as a chair. It's got a hole in the middle and they used to use it as a toilet. So it's exactly the same thing, but it was just used as a bathroom. Actually, I saw that aslo means a toilet. Mutter and tesel lechatchila, you're allowed to make them lechatchila. And this comes out, I was looking at Shabbos before the Shiur, it's one of the very, very hard things is to be Madame and Milsa to compare things. One of the most fascinating things is that the Yehuda had a daughter that was actually a bit of a Talmid Chacham. Can you imagine? And she worked out that the umbrella on Shabbos is permitted. And in fact, the priest can search high and low to find a reason to forbid it. And what happened was she went out in the streets on Shabbos where there was an open umbrella. The Yehuda banged down in shul. My daughter doing it against my permission. What she's doing is a terrible avera. You wrote a tshuva about how bad it is to open the umbrella on Shabbos. But again, it is very hard to understand which part of it is awesome. What have you done? You could say that it's an oil, it's a tent. The problem is it's oil metaltal. It's one which moves around. It's like no different to a person's hat. If you've got a Pusavino, which is like, got tefach wide on all sides, it would be also a problem. So only the Chazanish Lemaisa writes that umbrellas, which have got a very strong spring, and you have to pull it hard, there's a halacha that something which is done very tight is forbidden in the Rabban. Because it's the one talks about a Maisa Uman, a skilled worker. A skill, it can either be where you've done it very, very strongly, or requires skill to do it. An umbrella does not require skill to do it, but it's done very tightly. And he compares it to this chair, which Rashi said that the Kisei Galin, if you look at Rashi, they'd rebuild the chair. There's a chair which needs building, is forbidden. I've got these IKEA stools, plastic ones, where you just screw out the legs and screw them back in. So now the children do it all the time for fun, and then they put the sticks in and you can't put the bars, etc. But the point is, that would be permitted because that is not tight and it's not a skill. If you would have ones which require like really tightening in, he talks about the Shabbos, sometimes you have these stenders where you put the screws on the sides. You can really do it very tight, but it could be taken upon Mr. Durabon to do it. No, this would be a problem of macular patish. Yeah, that's a problem. Says the word, what happens if a person puts sediments inside this bag? There's such thing as something which one shitta holds is deraisa and one shitta holds is actually mutter? No. Usually you have one shitta holds deraisa, one holds rabbanon, or one holds rabbanon, one says it's mutter. But to have such extreme, and one says deraisa, one says mutter, we never have such a thing. Says what about wearing a golden tiara? What's the halacha? Does anybody remember? What are the shittas and why? It's a real typical Dirsha question. What? Oh, there are three shittas. One man that hold its mutter. Why? Because since only very wealthy, important people wear them, they are not the kind of people that would show it off to their friends. They've got nothing to it. One man that hold its asli d'Rabbanon, because she'll show it off to her friends and she'll start carrying it. And one man that hold its asli in hatera, because it's not an ornament. It's just simply a burden. They would wear it to prove their status. So if it wasn't a clothes, it was just a burden. So you have three shittas. One holds the rice, one holds its da'ab, one holds its mutter. How can you say that there's no such thing as one man holds its rice, one man holds its mutter? Here we see by Il Shazov that we have the machrikas. Oh, very good, that's no answers. It's interesting you answer, because I wouldn't have come to that logically. That because there's three shittas, it's better. One holds the rice, the rabbanon and mutter, that's better than one person holds the rice and mutter. I'm not sure what your svor is, but the Gemara says it's svor. Again, the says, the Tanya they say to Isha Birsha Zov, he says holds the chatos because it's a masik. When they say she shouldn't go out from Yosef Petua, it's only because he holds that women don't take it off, and that's the heter for women nowadays to wear jewelry, because our women don't take it off. He says it's mutter lechatchila. So therefore you can't compare to our case, where in our case where it's only two shittas, one's deraisa, one's mutter, that we don't have. The deraisa, d'Rabbanan and mutter, that we do have. It will carry on until the cholent comes, and let's just do a tiny bit more. We'll get to the Bowman there, just 5 more lines. What's the issa of sieving wine with this bag, with this porous bag? It's like me that it's boiled. Why? If you take the fruit and you leave the bad behind. When you pour it through, what happens is you take the bowl underneath, and then you take the wine and you leave behind the rubbish. So therefore, you're taking the good and leaving the bad. That is the derech habayra. Oh, very good. So the problem is that it would be mutter. The answer is you only mutter for the amount that you need to eat immediately, not for the amount that you want to store. Here there would be more than the amount to eat. You would take extra. When you sieve, leave the rubbish on top. Here the rubbish stays up in the bag and the food goes below. So therefore it's more like meraket. I just want to point out one thing, which is a very nice heter. That over here it says that we paskin that you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov. The Rebbe says even on Shabbos. The Rishonim say that boira, when you do it, derech shinui is mutter. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says that Rashi on the mission, the last few words, just a very simple shayla. Let's say, for example, you've got a drink. The old days of morning ago, you had tea leaves inside your tea, right? People didn't have tea bags, you put tea leaves. So, for example, you've got ices in your drink and you don't want to drink the ices. So you've got croutons in your soup and you're drinking it as a cup. And you use your lips or something to hold back the ice, the croutons, and the tea leaves and drink the rest. That's not a problem with boil, because it's derech shinui. As you're eating, you're doing boil, and that is okay. Okay, so we're up to Tony Romi by Yecheskel. Daf Kuflam with Chesed Mudalef and Nitzshem on Shabbos. What time? Yehuda, what time is Mincha on Shabbos? Okay, last week it was 8. No, last week was 9:10. So this week's probably 9:05, no? Oh, let's look at where should I get up to? It's slightly short on Shabbos.
I can do it on myself.
You get to here, you think it's too much. No?
9:05.
9:05, so she'll be 20 past 8. She'll be 8:20 on Shabbos.
And where are you setting up to?
Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Beis, 5 lines from the top. I don't know, does it have gluten? It's got barley. It's got
There's barley in this one.
Okay, so how about this number stuff? I'll find out.
There's 10.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool, it's more than enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right, it's good.
8:20.
Shabbos 8:20 to get it to Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Beis, 5 lines from the top. And next week, shares 5 to 8, not 8 o'clock during the week. That's right. 6 lines from the top, so 6 lines from the top.
That's good very comfortable, right?
Oh, I waited to. Good night to you, and Atzlacha with everything. And Yehuda, you as well.
Wow, thank you.
We can't come and join us. Atzlacha with everything.
I will soon.
Okay, Mazel Tov, we'll finish the peg. Have a very good Shabbos.
Ciao.
See you.